Welcome to Tips, the Townsend Institute podcast series, a show produced by the Townsend Institute at Concordia University, Irvine. This podcast shares stories of leadership, coaching, and counseling experiences that have shaped the lives and careers of our guests, who then provide tips aimed toward helping listeners grow in both their personal and professional lives. I'm Dr. John Townsend, psychologist, organizational consultant, and author of over 30 books, including the New York Times bestselling Boundaries series. I'm also the founder of the Townsend Institute, and I'm excited to introduce your podcast hosts, Dr. Ashley Andrew and Dr. Gilbert Puget.
On this special edition of Tips, John and Gilbert are live from the American Association of Christian Counselors Conference in Nashville, Tennessee. In this warm-hearted episode, you'll hear from author, speaker, lawyer, coach, and just an all-around nice guy, Bob Goff. He is true to his word of living in the moment. Right, Gilbert?
He sure has, Ashley. What a fun time it was to sit down with Bob a few months ago at the AACC conference. He is smart, definitely witty, and really just an overall relational guy. This episode is sure to give listeners some great advice and probably a few laughs as well. So let's get started. Well, welcome today to the Townsend Institute podcast series. I'm one of your co-hosts, Dr. Gilbert Puget. We are so blessed to have our friend Bob Goff here today, and also blessed to have Dr. John Townsend part of this. Our friend Ashley is not here today. She's off saving the world, but we are so excited, Bob, that you are here. And thank you for taking the time.
Oh man, Gilbert, John, thank you so much. This is a treat. It really is.
The feeling's mutual. I thought I'd start off with the immediate. Here we are at the American Association of Christian Counselors, thousands and thousands of people here at Gaylord. What's been like for you, sort of like in what you're seeing and observing? You're very involved here, you're doing a keynote. What's it been like since you got here?
No, I feel like it's when we get to heaven on the other side of the curtain, it's going to be people be like, oh my gosh, there you are. And people will be surprised to see a lawyer. I'd be like, really?
All the time, starting with lawyer jokes, never forget.
Gotta have a good lawyer joke, yeah.
Yeah, but it's like seeing old and new friends. But one thing that I'm mindful of when I come to Nashville, actually at a heart level, I actually get a little bit sad sometimes because there's many acquaintances I have, but fewer friendships. Like you met my best friend who's here just to make me not sad. Because isn't that crazy? Like to just have like people have comfort pads and all that, but to have like you can be known by one person in the room and then you're like, now we got a ball game.
It makes all the difference in the world.
So you can be among 7,000 people milling around, and then you can feel like the only one in the room, and then you look at your buddy, and you go like, I'm not alone. Does that make sense? So this is what you guys do. Like, I'm just a lawyer, but to actually understand how you're connected, how you're wired, how you react, and to actually take a little bit deeper look at like what's that connected to. I'll tell you something. Sweet Maria Goff doesn't know I'm here. We never talk about where I am. We talk about how I am. So
when you do your hubby, your love call.
Yeah, so she'll drop me off at the airport and she can tell how long I'm gone by how much luggage I have. So if I have this great big backpack that's sitting over me, she will probably think that's about 3 days. If she sees a great big backpack, she's like Mogadishu. She's like, that looks like a week. But we never talk about it, but I wear a mood ring. I got it on Etsy for like $15. And so she'll say, what color's your ring? I'll say, well, it's blue with a little black. And she's like, well, what does that mean? And I say like, oh, that means like feeling a lot of anticipation, tremendous amount of love and hope and gratefulness for what people are doing, a little bit of anxiety, which I always live with, but then I got my best friend here. And like, that's what blue with a little bit of black feels like. So what if we start telling people like how we're doing, not where we are? So how you are, tell me about that.
We would be happier and calmer.
Wouldn't you think? Because then you first need to get in touch with it so you can actually articulate that. Because if you just say what it's like, how are you, and then fine, and somebody's being polite, but you could distinguish that by saying, what's it feel like to be you right now? And then somebody would be like, oh my gosh, they actually want to talk to me. And then you actually have to access, what does it feel? I'd say like blue with a little black. They say, what does that mean? Yeah.
Blue with a little black. I like this mood read thing. We might really go with
You
that.
need to do that. And for the like single gals out there dating guys, just say, would you wear this mood ring? And if he says, I'm not into my feelings, say, that's awesome, I'm not into you.
And be sure to ask for the Bob Goff $15 Etsy special.
Yeah, you got to go.
Very important.
$15,
He gets
yeah.
a commission. So.
Yeah, I get like 5 or 10 years out of each one.
Yeah, you get a little kickback. I like that.
Yeah,
Bob.
that's right.
You know, one thing that, just having heard you and known you for as long, is that you have such a positivity to you, and yet I've heard your story several times that there wasn't positivity in your life, and you came out with positivity, that you want to be loving and relational and encouraging, and yet you've struggled too in life.
Yeah, totally.
And how that happened, that you transformed suffering into a guy that I think it would just minister to so many people in our podcast to say, here's how Bob did it through his life.
Yeah, wouldn't you say that most of us are either a reflection of or a reaction to the people who are closest to us? So if you grow up in a family where there's lots of yelling, then maybe you have a family where there's lots of yelling. And for some people, that's just like, hi. So it would be devastating for me because I would sponge that, and I'm a trial lawyer. Like I'd like argue with people for a living. But you could also be a reaction. So having come from a very conservative, button down, I think my parents were the only people in San Diego with snow tires on the car just in case. No, I'm a reaction to that. I'm like, we're trying to figure out what I'm going to say in the keynote. I'm like, can we have some slides? I mean, like, oh my gosh. And my dad is he's 95 and he's planning out like 2032. And so figure out like how you're wired and then ask the deeper question, like, what are you reflecting? What are you reacting? Say, what is that connected to? Right? To just say like, we can figure out that, and I'm just glad there's knowledgeable guys like you that can help people figure that out.
Like I can see where it came from, but I don't have to be that. I can appreciate the good things, and I can go another way.
Yeah, like if you figure out the return address, like I get a lot of junk mail. Do you, Gilbert?
A lot, yes.
I get like loads of this thing. But what I do is I look at the return address, and if it's not somebody I know or not somebody I trust, I don't open the junk mail. And we've got a whole generation of people opening junk mail. Every day it comes in the form of social media and all that. Don't open the junk mail. Like be blissfully just ignorant of those things.
This is a man with a filter. This is a very good filter.
I like it. This changes how I'm gonna look at my mail now.
Yeah,
Junk mail. I love it. Well, so you've had some time, get a little experience here, being an attorney. You're a speaker, author, all these things, and you wrote a new book, Undistracted. What made you write that? Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah, that's the cool part. You get to write the books you need. So I'm like that dog in Up. It's like squirrel. I'm like that guy. I'm like constantly distracted. I'm distracted by air. Earth distracts me. And so how can you actually settle down and do like the thing that's in front of you? Philippians, faith isn't a big deal for everybody. It guides my steps as best as I will let it. But Paul talks about our highest and best. So what I'm trying to do is like say, what's the highest and best? Not like could I, because I could do all kinds of stuff, both good and bad. But like, is that the highest and best? And so for a guy who's 65, about to collect Social Security, which I'm so did Gilbert, thank you for paying into this system. I'm going to be on the dole here. But what I want to do is to say, is this something that's going to help me with my legacy? Is this something that I'm known for or something I'm remembered for? And I'm switching to remembered for. Like, I don't know when I'm going to end up in a jar on somebody's mantle. Actually, I prefer an hourglass. Like, you know, I want to spend 45 minutes with Grandpa Bob. It's either brilliant or morbid or a little of both. But to just say, what do I want to be remembered for? And I want to be remembered for the guy that's available. And so that just makes it really simple, the thing when people
what made that, I mean, of all the things you could have said, you landed on that. What was behind all that?
It was like looking at Jesus, like, here he is, God, yet he's the most available person in the world. Somebody tugs on his tunic and he's like, who is that? There's a little dude in a sycamore tree and he says, lunch on you. He had time for people. And so it strikes me that like the first thing God makes is time, and sometimes the last thing. Now, I don't have as much time as I would like to have like lots of long conversations. So I put my cell phone number in the back of 3 million books, and
what was that about, Bob?
It's awesome. It's just that idea of availability. And a couple things will happen. It'll keep your feet on the ground because you're just like willing to be just like interrupted. But then you also can modulate that a little bit. Like, so I'll say like, hey, I only have a minute. And they'll say, well, when I was an embryo, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to take a while. So I have an email address too. There's like Bob Goff at Bob Goff, which is for my friends. And there's Bob at Bob Goff for people that want to tell a longer story. So I just have 2 emails, and I can immediately say, this is somebody who has something longer to say, just takes more words to get it out. And then for the friends and family, it's just like, this is somebody that can talk right now.
And in your book, Undistracted there, I know there was a story, I think it was Keith Green, right? That really.
Oh, that guy. Come on, do you remember him back in the day? Like,
with the availability, right?
Yeah.
What a musician.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I wrote him this, really neat letter. And this is before the internet. I mean, before Al Gore invented it. And so I wrote this letter, and I got a letter back from him, and it only had 3 things in it, 3 sentences. And I was so like, Keith freaking Green just wrote back to me. I couldn't even tell you what the sentences were, but I remember how important I felt that somebody gave me 3 sentences. So I get a couple hundred emails a day. Everybody gets 3 sentences, and not the same 3. This isn't like a cut and paste, but to just, and again, it like that Philippians 2:20. It's like Paul talking about Timothy. He's a guy who takes a genuine interest in people. And I can't write somebody an encyclopedia, but I got time for 3 sentences. And there's no shame if you don't. I just said that's really good for me.
It's really a helpful clarification for our listeners, Bob, when you talk about the title being Undistracted and then available. Because when you hear Undistracted, you think somebody that's focused, somebody that's going to do the task. It's kind of not the word that you would think means available. But what you're saying, no, I want to be undistracted on what's most important, and that's being emotionally available to people.
Bingo.
It just kind of changes the whole scenario. When I'm with people, I want to be 110%. We've got so much of a culture, especially in our leadership now, that since they got so many things in their head, I mean, you're giving great eye contact right now. You're emotionally present with me and Gilbert, and a lot of them can't do that. But that's gold for people. People need that desperately.
Yeah. Have you ever done that exercise with somebody? If you're listening to this, you could do it with your kids or coworkers, but just say, give me the first 3 letters of the alphabet. Go ahead.
ABC.
And now the first 3 numbers, starting with 1.
1, 2, 3.
Now the next 4 letters.
DEF.
Now the next 3 numbers. Now the next 5 letters. So this is the myth of multitasking.
Yeah.
And so it's the ABC 1, 2, 3, like you can leave that to Michael Jackson, but like the whole idea is to, like, it's the switching of gears, it's the grinding of gears. Where did I leave off? Where am I starting? And so this being constantly interrupted is like yikes, that's delightful, but I'm trying to be inefficient in the way that I love people. I can be efficient in many other areas in my life. Directions on the highway, I want to be super efficient. The way that I do a law, I want to be super efficient. But when it comes to law, this is this paradox of faith, that we could be just wildly inefficient in the way that we love people. So it's like a different column, like this is me and you, and it's just that.
And you can be generous, and you can be giving, and
and
not time wasted, but it feels
without
like that.
being all like touchy-feely, but like if you're talking to somebody and you're with like, put a hand on their shoulder in a non-creepy way, but let them know it's just me and you right here. It's not me, you, and 1,000 people, it's just us.
I am undistractedly available to you.
Yeah, right here, right now. Now, I don't have an hour, but I got a minute. And so that kind of thing is cross-grained to the way we all are. And I'm not saying I'm arriving. I would say that is my destination. I've hung a target on that, and I want to just move in that direction.
There's another story. When I read your book,
He's been waiting to do this.
I've been kind of waiting.
One of your stories, and he's been talking to me about it.
Yeah.
So long as this doesn't involve a felony or like Class C misdemeanor.
Well, this is how you found the truth, was through that. It's about your great-grandfather. And the story about him getting hit by a train, and you were chasing down this guy who did all these things. Turned out he was your relative, right?
Yes.
I mean, can you explain
and I
a little
learned that in a deposition. Like he was actually like, there was this crook and he made off with all the whatever and changed his name and disappeared into the like mist. But I'm a pretty good lawyer and I found him. And so I sent him this invitation to meet. It's called a subpoena. And so I said, let's talk.
Did you say RSVP?
No, I'm like, hugs, Bob. So we met in whatever city he was in, and we're asking. He's a slippery guy, so I'm just trying to figure out who begat whom on the family tree. And the higher we got up on the tree, the more familiar the names sound. He was my cousin. Awkward moment. Like that makes every family reunion like really weird. But because I'd heard for years about how my great-grandfather had been hit by a train, they put him in a wheelbarrow, like put him on the porch, like in a really nasty ding-dong ditch. And so I said, could we go and pay respects to, our like great-grandfather? And he said, oh my gosh, he didn't get hit by a train. He ran off on the family.
Oh.
And so the family, there's so much shame and anger and all that. They said he got hit by a train, put in a wheelbarrow, thrown on the porch. And so I would recognize that I do the same thing. Like I make up these stories about, like one of the, everybody usually at a first level experiences me is the happy guy. Like I'm just like Tigger. I'm like super fun and I'm actually fun. But if you get underneath that and you say like, so tell me about the thing underneath that. This is me coping with being super insecure. Like I don't care how many people are in that room, I will be the most insecure that guy there, by far. I know God doesn't grade this stuff on a curve, but I dealt with my insecurities about being like rejected or being left all alone, or some crazy happens when we're young and then you make up a story, you'll be abandoned, everyone will leave you. And so I decided to be happy guy, because to medicate that. And what's great, scaffolding when you're 7 years old, all of a sudden starts looking for like prison bars. When you're 20 and you can't have a date because you're just snorkeling in the top 2 feet of every conversation. Why? I don't want to go deep because I know I'm going to get rejected. And so isn't that interesting? So I'm just so glad that you guys, the Townsend Institute, is like around to help people connect the dots.
It's really true, and people have that. And was there kind of a turning point when you went from the prison that used to be a scaffolding to I need to be able to be more open and vulnerable to have the relationships I want? Was there some point where you go, I got to be a different way?
Yeah, there wasn't the big inciting incident, but just feeling like permission to be me. Like sometimes like if you just see me as Yippee Skippy Bob, I'm actually a caricature of who I actually am. Like I'm all of that, but I'm a lot more. And so to just dig a little deeper to say, I wonder what that's connected to. What's a junk mail? Like what story am I like sorting out? And Sweet Maria Goff is great at kind of blowing the foam off the top of my latte. I just say like, let's just talk about what it is. And so this idea introducing me to, my friends that have said like, you can actually like have these conversations. It's a
like
good thing.
It's safe when you go below 2 feet.
Yeah.
With
So
the
I
right
just
people,
wanna
it's
say,
safe.
Come on in, the water's great.
Yes. Yes. That's really good.
Oh, well, so you've done written a lot of books. You got a lot of speaking engagements. You're on social media. You also done some Holy Land tours, I believe, right? Tell us a bit about maybe that and the goals of some of those big trips that you've done too.
I just love seeing, I spent quite a bit of time at Disneyland. And I just love seeing
I kind of get
the
that.
world through
that is a holy land for most people. Yeah.
I actually want to be a greeter. That's my same thing, but they can't talk, which is an impediment of mine.
And also I went to Boston and they kept telling me Fenway Park was the holy land too. Yeah, I see your Boston
Everybody's got their holy.
Yeah.
Do you know this hat, as I'm not a Red Sox fan, I've never gone to any baseball game ever by anybody. It's just too slow moving. But my neighbor Carol was a huge Red Sox fan, and she got cancer. She was going to be in heaven by the end of the week. And so 9 years ago, I told her, I will wear your hat for the rest of my life and represent the Sox here on earth. But in exchange, every time Jesus walks by you, you need to mention my name. So I'm making good on my deal. But if I go through the airport, like in New York, and people are hissing at me.
Oh, yeah.
But being misunderstood, that's just Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for me, and then Friday, a long weekend, and more misunderstanding. So I'm getting comfortable with that, and I don't need to be fully understood by everybody. Somebody asked me with one of my books, are you watering down the gospel again? And I said, yes.
Again?
Yeah, but man, I just want it for thirsty people. I'll hang a salt lick on every pew, just if everybody could just get thirsty for a deeper understanding of who they are. I'm not advocating for this or believe that or whatever. I just want people to be thirsty. And so in answer to the question, that first circle moment came when I started getting thirsty. I'm like, I actually want to do this so I can stop some of the crazy that I'm going to otherwise pass on to my kids and their kids and all that. And I'll be safely inside the hourglass, but they're going to have to deal with all this ish. So why don't I just do everybody a solid and figure out a little bit of it now?
Yeah. Wow.
So that's my moment.
That's your moment. Wow.
I think it'd be helpful, since you're one of those guys that as we move to the mature years, you haven't slowed down. Kind of take us through a week. I don't know if there's this thing called normal for you, but how do you engage your day that you get things done, you're with the people you love, you do things that are meaningful for you? What's that like for you?
Well, the first thing, I have been clean and sober on appointments for 11 years.
Clean and
so
sober
I just
on
don't make them.
appointments.
I feel like I got half my life back. When I stopped saying, do you want to have coffee? And they say yes, and then how about at Billy's? And then, oh, I can't do the 11, and how about 3, and all that. And we haven't actually tipped the cup to the lip yet. So I just said, what I do is I give people the trajectory of my day, all the things I'm doing, and invite everybody to intersect it. Yeah, so I just say, this is where we're going to be. And then if you want to intersect that, that's awesome. And if I'm having a deep conversation, you'll know, because you'll just read the room. So that has been like a practice that's been super helpful for me. And then the other thing is just being super intentional with being, what do they say here in the South? Lots of things, but being where your feet are, just being fully present right here. I'm not thinking about what I'm doing next. I'm not thinking about what I just did. I'm just with you guys.
Well, that's an undistracted capacity.
Yeah, to just be just be where your feet are. And I'll even do that. And then the distracting comments that people will make. Sometimes they will say something that actually kind of hurts us, but I actually lift my eyes without being obvious above them in this imaginary thought bubble. And in the thought bubble, I read the words, I'm being really helpful right now. So when I see in the thought bubble, I'm being really helpful right now, I'm all evidence to the contrary. But it helps me just perceive. So if somebody says something that's a little untoward, from their worldview and their pain and joy and all that, this was the first thought that came to mind.
And you don't get hooked.
Yeah, just be they're just trying to be really helpful. Me too.
All right, now this first thing, this when you said the trajectory of your day, that's really interesting. So, you look at your next day or your next week in your calendar and you go, I want to do X, Y, and Z. They're important to me. Maybe I want to play golf. Maybe I want to take a ride. Maybe I want to study something. And then so-and-so says, is that day good for you? You'll say, yeah, if you like golf, or if you like going to a Denny's and having a cup of coffee.
Yeah, you could just say,
that is great.
I'm taking a drive, or I'm going to spend this time doing that, but you can just welcome to call. And I don't have caller ID, so I don't know if it's them or any of the other 3 million people. I don't know. It's like rock, paper, scissors. It's just constantly surprised.
But it reminds me of all the great mentors in history, because it was life on life. It wasn't from 2 to 3 at the restaurant and we'll have coffee and pancakes. It was I'm going to do so-and-so. I'm going to talk to my kids, play with my dog. I'm going to be working out. And if you go life on life, you'll really connect with me. it's a wonderful idea.
Because actually, it's right back to that, the wonderful inefficiency of love, almost this paradox of life and faith, that actually the busier I got, the more my antidote was get super available. Be like, wait, what? And this paradox, I understand you cannot show up without like embracing paradox. Now I was talking to a guy who said like I said, describe your dream day. And he said one of those isolation rooms where there's no sensory input and you're floating in a zero gravity pool and all that. This would be all 9 rings of hell for me. I'm like, oh. I would want to be in the room next door. It would be the ambiguity room. And as they're closing the door, they say, there might be somebody in here.
Ambiguity room. I love it.
And just watch the guy freak out.
Yeah.
Yes, which would be, but just figure out why you're wired. Like I teach at Pepperdine Law School, but I also teach at San Quentin. And so I have some really interesting, I got Manson family members.
So those that don't know, San Quentin is a prison, right? It's a prison, yeah. So yeah, not an
Just in case.
Just in case. We have people over, so
some small Midwest city called San Quentin.
Be like that university.
Move. I have a retreat where people get better. I'm not kidding. It's on Slaughterhouse Road. I'm like, what the heck? And then it's at the corner of Slaughterhouse and Witch Creek, not WHIC. It's the full Monty, and you have to drive through a vineyard to get there. But for a guy who I'm like, just deal with all of that. And then if we can just live into the ambiguity of relationships, show up fully, not trying to be efficient and looking at your watch and figuring out that, but just be like, here I am. Here you are. Let's just talk about life.
All right, I got to put my shrink hat on now.
Yeah, come on, bring it. I need that.
No, I'm not shrinking you. I'm affirming you and shrinking everybody else. This is the antidote to control issues. Control issues is when you got to control the moment and be rigid about it. Make sure everything is pointed, that your pencils are pointing the right way. And your life is just the opposite. And that's where the joy and the love and the friends are, and the adventure and the surprise.
Maybe
you
idea
have solved the control problem.
Maybe we give it a quarter of a turn and we say, instead of trying to control this, I just want to influence it.
Yes.
For just a beautiful way.
Yes.
So I'm not trying to manipulate somebody, but influence, for good or for bad.
Yeah, I'm not putting a demand on you.
Not telling you what you need to do, what you need to put on your cupcake, but I'm going to try to influence by making many things available. I just trust you'll make a good call for you. And it comes across sometimes to people who don't get you as apathy, but it's actually strategy.
No, it's strategy.
It's just there's a veneer that people can go. If you get underneath that, you're going to find a mile of strategy.
And it keeps you out of the parent-child role where they go, Bob told me how to live my life. Well, I kind of resent that. You're like, I just had a couple of ideas. So you're always seen as an equal adult, never stuck in the parent-child, so they can accept it.
Yeah, and maybe instead of asking the question when somebody says, Bob, how's your life working out for you? I'd be like, great. But here's a quarter of a twist on that. Say, how is my life working out for you?
Great question.
Ask, how is your life working out for the people around you? Because if your life is not working for the people around you, I got a hot memo here, your life ain't working. So I've asked that painful question to I was
about
busy
impact.
As a lawyer, running around, and I pulled in my driveway, and Sweet Maria, who's never raised her voice or said a cross word in the 37 years I've been loving her, the 30 she's been loving me back. And
a 7-year gap there.
7 years somewhere.
There was that stuff. So, and in the window is a help wanted sign. And she wasn't saying she needed help. She was saying, I needed help.
I myself.
And so that whole idea, find kind people who will speak the truth to you, but in an embrace, to just say, man, I get it. You're working so hard to provide for the family, but you're not providing what the family needs. They need you. Otherwise, she would have married an ATM machine, because that wouldn't leave its socks out. So I just want to say, could we just be heads up, find some kind people that'll speak truth to you?
Which is the difference between trying to help somebody functionally and somebody relationally. You're saying, Start with relationship.
Yeah,
maybe
bingo.
if you got to give them a cup of sugar or something, that's great. But start with relationship. You might get to the other, but most of them need relationship.
And then when you mess up, don't hit yourself. There's so many people that are so, particularly in faith communities, that just beat themselves up. I just want to remind them, like, you're not a piñata, right? And like when you hit yourself, this is not candy coming out of you.
Yeah.
It's other stuff. And so just don't hit yourself.
At the Institute, we talk about training people not to have a what we call a harsh judge. You need a nice judge who just says, try it a different way. Your quarter turn is something we would love, because otherwise the harsh judge says you're disqualified, you'll never make it, and everybody just gets depressed and discouraged. You want a warm judge.
Yes. There's an exercise that'd be hard to describe for the people just listening, but if you were to, when I was practicing holding hands with somebody someday in junior high, I would actually practice holding my own hand. Nobody
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So I practice holding hands, like with the fingers interlaced. And if you hold that up to your face, almost like a pie, and all of your fingers are interlaced, you can't see anything, but one little quarter turn, and then you can see a bunch. You can't see. So for me, it's just like from this to this. I would go like, I get it.
This is the quarter turn podcast. This is brilliant. I love the quarter turn.
Did you know Delta Airlines, like always they push their airlines back into the alley, and then they do a 90-degree turn, and they push them back, and then the planes taxi out. They switch to giving them a quarter of a turn, just on a 45, save $1 billion a year.
Wow.
It's just a quarter turn.
But
So,
it makes all the difference.
Bingo. A young guy called me on one of these things. He said, Bob, read your book, changed my entire life. I've done a 360-degree change. I'm like, you're actually right back where you started. Go for a quarter turn.
That's not progress.
Well, so Bob, I like this, the quarter turn podcast.
I'm never going to leave
I
that.
know. What we do when we come to the end here is we say, hey, what is a tip that you would give to our listeners? So Bob, what's a tip that you want our listeners to walk away with today?
Oh yeah, ask people what their experience is, not their opinion. Because everybody's got an opinion. They're like Priuses. But to just say, what's your experience? There was a guy who I've sailed across the Pacific a couple times for reasons I don't know, because I just hurl the whole way and I can drop 20 pounds.
Yeah.
So he was telling me what course to steer, what raft to get, what sails, what food to bring on board. And I'm like, oh my gosh, are you a sailor? And he says, no, I've never left Ohio. He had all kinds of opinions, just no experience. So when someone asks, like, what's your opinion, to say, let me tell you, I don't have any experience in this, but I can tell you something that is an adjacent experience. I don't know if that'll be helpful, but to ask people if they're giving you financial advice, say, what's your financial experience?
Yeah.
Like, if they're giving you relational advice and they say, well, in my third marriage, and marriages are tricky, but like if they're just having some difficulties with that, I would just say it gives you context for what's about to come next. And I want people to have context when I'm about to say something that, man, I'm walking with a limp in these areas. My experience, however, was, and that's just a kindness. It shows like a depth of candor that might not otherwise. People could confuse you as actually being an expert. It's something you're actually an amateur at.
Yeah, wow. Well, thank you so much for being here, Bob. And
It's so fun to be with you guys.
John, did you have any thing to close it up here?
Can I just say before you say goodbye, can I just say thank you? Like I'm emotionally caught and I cry at everything, but thank you for pouring in to my family, to me, to everybody for years and years and years. Really, it's a big deal, so thank you.
You're welcome, Bob. It's been a pleasure. Guys, in our listening audience, I'm getting a little verklempt here, but this guy is the guy who lives what he talks. And you want to listen to this thing over and over again, because Bob's a guy who's lived life, he's enjoyed it, and he doesn't judge himself, and he's not going to judge life. So, Bob, thank you. It was a blessing to have you.
Good being with you guys. Keep up the good work.
Thank
All
you
right,
so
man.
much.
If you enjoy the Townsend Institute podcast series, head to our website at cui.edu/Townsend to find out more about the certificates, bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees offered through Concordia University, Irvine. With programs in mental health counseling, executive coaching and consulting, and organizational leadership, we have a variety of faith-based programs dedicated to helping you fulfill your academic and professional goals, all the while furthering your competence, character, and connection. Again, that's cui.edu/Townsend.